Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts. And so this is pre-market prep for Monday, April 7th, which may turn out to be like a Black Friday. So very good to be careful today. And especially want to note, none of this is financial advice. I am just a guy on the internet having fun looking at charts. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just trying to understand it and share my thoughts with you guys. And so for pre-market prep, I'm going to be going through the tickers listed on the left, and then I will also be going over one of the tickers from this poll over here. 21 minutes left going on in the poll. Options are Robinhood, SoFi, Palantir, or Nvidia. It looks like SoFi is going to win, but Hood could take the lead. I'd be very surprised if Palantir or Nvidia did. But yeah, kind of a fun way to start the day. So make sure you participate in that poll. I am DGenAn, short for Andy, on X, because over here we are DGenEd. You can see Ed in the corner over there. He's just hanging out thinking. And yeah, so let's dive into the charts, see what we got going on. And yeah, the first one that I usually go over is the UVIX, which is the 2x long VIX futures ETF. I have been tracking kind of like approximate 2-week cycles that, it comes down for 2 weeks, then it goes up for about 2 weeks, something like that. And I started doing that following this big move that we saw August 5th with the markets gapping down. The UVIX, the VIX spiked super high. An excellent trade on the upside and or downside. If you were in it, shorting it there, could have made a lot of money. And yeah, so far, following that move, we have just been trading inside this channel. And, I think that this was, everything becomes so clear looking back. But we were just trading inside this parallel channel for so long. And then we get a first time, break above it, but it was a fake out. And then last week I was thinking, well, it's probably going to turn around. I'm just gonna hide the comments from my view. I will check them at the end of this. I just want to make sure I go through all of these, all of the tickers that I got in the list. And so, but anyways, good morning, Nameless. I saw you there. And so with the UVIX, yeah, so we got a break above this parallel downtrending channel here, but it was a fake out. Then we pulled back in. And so I feel like that was kind of a tell that this was going to be launching. I didn't think of it like that last week. I thought, well, it's probably going to end a little bit early, as, we have seen that in the past. And so I started getting some SVIX, which was a really bad idea. I don't have a lot, so it's not a big deal. If that goes to zero, which I don't think it will, but if it goes to a level it won't recover from, that's fine. But yeah, I did not expect this to launch so much, but with the tariff wars going on, we're seeing a massive correction in the markets and stuff. And so what we're seeing now, the UVIX closed on Friday at $73.34, being up 39.43% on the day. Big gap up. I think it's probably still going to be going up, as we can see in the 10-minute time frame. We did actually hit, a high during pre-market of 125, and we are now pulling back pre-market, trading around $85.66, or it's changing, being up 12%, in addition to what we saw on Friday, so over $85 a share. So pretty massive there. But yeah, I think that 125, maybe that's going to be the top. Maybe we start to see a reversal, a cool off today. And, that would correspond, I must say, excellently with this 2-week cycle, because it would be ending tomorrow on the 8th. So yeah, I got into the SVIX thinking, basically preemptively getting ready for what could be topping here in the UVIX. And I should have just waited. I should have just had more conviction in these stupid little 2-week boxes. And yeah, so we'll have to see. I'll look over at the SVIX in just a second, but yeah, I mean, this is just crazy. I was waiting for it to hit $28, which is where this alert is here. You can just see I got alert at 28 and one above 40. It's clearly above 40. But yeah, I mean, the low that we hit over here was 28.76. So just missed the bottom. If the bottom would have been bought, even just by like averaging in, would be up, over 100%, about actually based on where price is currently at, it's like 190% up. So pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. And then if we look over at the VIX, this did close on Friday at 45.31. I could look over at the VIX futures, I believe, in TradingView, but I'm not too familiar with that. VIX is just options, so it's not open right now, but I was looking at 2X, the long VIX futures, the UVIX. So yeah, this is up in the pre-market, so I suspect we will be seeing the VIX gapping up. And will it be getting up to as high as 65.73? That was the prior high. I'm just going to create an alert at 65. If we do go above that, which may not be getting to 65.73, but I think that's just like a historic move to the upside. So pretty crazy there. And then looking over at the SVIX, and I should say that, the VIX is the market volatility index. The SVIX is the 1X short VIX futures ETF. So it's just like the UVIX, except it's short, not long, but it's only 1X, not 2X. And this closed on Friday at 1263. I had kind of been expecting, hey, maybe we see this. Actually, no, this red line here, this is for a preemptive. Maybe it could bounce to that level. If the low is around 12 pre-market, it's trading below 12 at 1176. So I suspect it'll probably go lower. I saw this white Fibonacci extension here coming from these pivot points here. The 100% extension is at 14. And yeah, I was thinking that, hey, maybe that's going to be the bottom. I was, basically buying the past couple days. I'm probably going to take a break from buying today because I want to be able to get a bounce back to the 382 to really just get out of my position, which my average is below $16. And that's really just based on, if we see over here, this is, this massive sell-off leading into August 5th, sell-off in the SVIX. So everything is, basically starting to collapse as the VIX is going up. And what we see was a bounce to the 382. And so that was the level to get out of. So whatever the bottom is going to be now, I think that an exit place, whether in profit or not, I think that is going to be the 382, which if we do come down to a low of $12, which I have marked there, then that would be around 1636. But clearly, I think we're going to go lower than that. And so, yeah, I mean, that's something that, I need to be thinking about, kind of need to have a plan for this. And yeah, I mean, so far, I don't have any more buys placed. But one thing that I could do is I do have this 100% extension. I might add the 1618 just to get another level to the downside, see where that is at. That's at 818. Do I think we're going to get down there? I don't know. I have this alert here. Maybe I'll just place this alert at 10. I think that we could get to the double digits, maybe the single digits. And yeah, and then actually, yeah, I mean, so let's see if this does go down to 818, then I just want to make sure that the high over here is correct. So that was 2342. I believe that is what I have lined up here, 2342. And then if I go down to, did I say 808? Yeah, I believe 818. Dang it. Almost. No matter what, that little box is going to block something. Okay, and so then that will be suggesting, that's super weird. Oh my gosh. This is like Twilight Zone or something. Does that say 14 on both of those? Oh my gosh. That has to be a sign that something's going on. So I'm just going to delete that for a second. Yeah, 14. Oh my gosh. 14. Both of those levels are at exactly 14. So I think that could be the new top, 14. And yeah, I mean, so just kind of comparing this pattern with what we saw over here. I'm going to, let's see, auto fit that axis. We see, downside move, a little bit of consolidation. And then over here, downside move, some consolidation. And we start to see gap down, red candle, gap down, red candle. And so this wasn't a gap down, but red candle, gap down, red candle. And then we started to see the bounce. So that could be corresponding with today. So yeah, I don't know. I had previously had the alert. I had just adjusted it to 10, but I had been thinking maybe it finds a bottom around 12. And it's just that the green, the bounce here corresponded with going down a lot lower. So on August 5th, came down 38.9%, whereas we're only at down 7% in the pre-market. So yeah, I'm really kind of curious to know what's going to happen with this because I've got some money in it, but it's not a big deal. If I lose it, no big deal. If I have to take a 50% loss or something, no big deal. But I realize I should have just had more conviction in this because I would have made some money. But I did take some off the table. I had some TSLL, which was Tesla 2x leveraged long, and I got out of that. So I missed out on holding the bag in that, although I am still holding some Tesla, but I want to be holding some Tesla, so I'm fine with that. But yeah, let's look over now at the SPY. This is the S&P 500 tracking ETF. Let's see, closed on Friday at $505.28, being down nearly 6% on the day. And now in the pre-market, it is trading like about $14 lower at around $491, $92, down about 2.6% in the pre-market. And so, yeah, I mean, I had this level here, 513. We're clearly below that. The low from over here, 505.48. That was the low from August 5th, clearly below that. And the low from over here is, let's see, 487.65. So I am wondering if that might be, the bottom, if we might be seeing that acting as a dip by level potentially. That was the low from April 19th of 2024. I think that we could be heading down that way. Clearly, we did not get this bounce. Clearly, we did surpass this gap here, creating another gap on the way down. And this here, let's see, like what we did with the SVIX, let's see where the 1618 is on this. Maybe that would be suggesting a bottom, and that would actually be around $473.89. So a pretty big downside move there, getting below this level here. So we will have to wait and see on that. But yeah, not looking so good. I think it's good to just be kind of chilling, sitting on the hands, Black Monday. Not getting too crazy with this because it could keep going lower. And so, yeah, with that being said, just going to flip over to the 10-minute time frame. It does look like, wow, we did kind of get caught by that green line that I just drew up there, which was the lows from April 19th, about a year ago. And we did hit a low during the pre-market with this gap down of 482.96 being below 487.65. Pretty remarkable. We will have to see what happens with that, and I might just delete some of these other levels that I have here because I don't think they're really that useful anymore, because we want to be seeing what's going to be happening to the downside. And this green uptrend, I'm going to say that should maybe be orange. And this Fibonacci retracement here, I'm going to make that yellow. Kind of caution, maybe this is resistance, maybe this is support, maybe we have support here. So yeah, looking pretty, exciting here. It's going to be an exciting day. And then looking over just for comparison at the SPX, this is the S&P 500 index. And really, just to kind of mirror what I have drawn up with the SPY, I'm going to make this line orange to match it. And then I'm just going to draw a horizontal line over here based on the low from April 19th, which was $4,953.56. So got that lined up just right over there. Going to lock that in place. And then let's see, let's get, the 1618 added to this extension. Got that drawn there, and I'm going to make that one yellow, just like I have it with the SPY, the SPY. And so that would be suggesting price could be coming down to like $4,746.93 as the 1618 there. I do also have this level of $4,818.62. And this, to be honest, is where the SPX, I think, is a little bit better than the SPY because that was the previous all-time high hit at the beginning of 2022, $4,818.62. And so I am going to adjust that line to be solid thick, and I'm going to make that be a green line because that could be, corresponding with a dip buy that we are coming back to that level. And, finding that as support. So I do think that we have some support below us. And then lower than that, I do have about 4,615, almost 17. That was the high from 2023 before we pulled back here and then started to break into new highs towards the end of 2023. So maybe that could be acting as support as well. But yeah, we just got further downside to go, I imagine, but maybe we get a bounce. I suspect we'll be seeing a bounce between today and Wednesday, but I don't know if that bounce is going to be today, if the bottom is going to be today, tomorrow, or Wednesday. But I think that there are some negotiations that seem like they will be taking place. I think some tariffs will be agreed upon. I think the chaos will play out. And I think that, in all honesty, that it's just serving its purpose that, hey, I'm going to make a deal with you. I want to make a deal with you. And then if, let's say, oh my gosh, you're unhappy with my deal, I'm going to take my deal off the table, whatever you want. Then there's no negotiation that's going to happen. There's no deal that's going to take place. And so what needs to happen is, am I bluffing or am I not? With this coming down, doesn't seem like I'm bluffing. I want to get to the negotiations table. And so that's what's happening. And I think that we're just going to see this come down until other countries come to the table. And I think that this will be short-lived. And I think that we could be seeing something that is, let's see, like this. So maybe we see, this is, I think, 35% down in 2022. And that was over the course of about a month. So, I think that we could see, something like this over the course of the month. But, if you just wait, let's see, 176 days, so that's about half a year, we'll be back to break even. So not too aggressively, but if one is to buy the dip here, that would be for a 6-month and beyond time frame. That would be an excellent thing to be doing. So I think that this is good. I kind of talked about, I don't know if I talked about it too much on streams or in videos, but I kind of talked about like financial reckoning. I think that's what's happening now. And I don't think that means that the world is going to end. I just think that we needed kind of like a correction, and then maybe we can continue up following this. So I'm not panicked. I'm not worried. I'm just trying to have fun. And Yeah, so with that being said, going over all of those stocks, let's now look over at Bitcoin, which I'm super excited about, I have to say. I, over the weekend, started to think more about my Bitcoin and Ethereum strategy because looking at the stock market, I'm just thinking like, I have conviction in some of these, like Tesla, that, I just want to be getting more of. But at the same time, I don't know what's going to be going on around politics, around, the administration, how that's going to affect the stock, what the company is doing, whether it's Tesla or other companies. But with Bitcoin, I just feel like with the 4-year cycle, this is going to be making new all-time highs later this year. And yesterday on Sunday, we did pull down to what looks like, this confluence of levels here around 78 to 79,000. And so I was thinking, hey, maybe we're going to see a bounce there. We also do have the CME gap up around $84,000. So I bought a little bit yesterday, just $50 worth, just for a swing around the CME gap. I could have gotten more down here, but I'm just chilling. Maybe I'll add 50 more. Maybe I won't. Just don't want to rush it. But, from current price, getting back to filling that CME gap, that's about a 9.6% move to the upside. Although, depending on your exchange, you've got to factor in the spread. And so for me, I did that buy in Robinhoo, just $50, nothing too crazy. I have my limit sell set at $83. And so that represents about an 8% swing to the upside. So I basically be turning $50 into about $53. So nothing too crazy with that. Just trying to see, if that ends up being a nice trade. But also I did, as you can see, have this alert here. I do have this alert here at 75,000, and that corresponds with a limit dip buy that I had placed in my Strike account. That went off. So I got $10, very exciting, $10 worth of Bitcoin at 75,000. And then also thinking about like my Bitcoin strategy and really just like my savings strategy. I'm basically at this point where I have basically, a month's plus worth of bills saved up just, for savings. Also, I have some debt, but I have what's on my credit card saved up. So I'm getting interest on that at 0% APR on my credit card and, less than 4% APY on savings, but making a little bit of money on that. Anyways, I was just thinking, well, looking at Bitcoin coming down here and my thoughts on it being back above, 100,000 by the end of the year, that based on where it's currently at is, more than a 4% move to the upside. That's about a 30% move to the upside. And so I feel better about Bitcoin than I feel about my less than 4% APY savings account. So I decided that rather than, and then now, I've got about one month of bills saved up. I wanted to start stacking months of bills saved up. And, but now I'm in kind of a predicament. I want to be putting money into savings, but I also want to be putting money into the market. And so now I decided that based on my budget, I can put about $1,000 a week into savings, but I don't want to do that. That's boring. I'd rather be investing, especially in something like Bitcoin. So what I'm going to be doing is doing $500. Actually, no, I could do $500 a week, and it will be $250 into Bitcoin, $250 into Ethereum. I don't know if you guys are interested in my strategy or what I'm doing, but I have not done a bigger buy in Bitcoin yet. I did with Ethereum yesterday, and rather than doing like $250 now, $250 next week, I'm just going to be doing, let's see, on average, let's see, and is it $1,000? No, it's $1,000 every 2 weeks. And so what it's breaking down for is Bitcoin with my additional $5 a day DCAs is about $40 a day. So I will place a limit, reoccurring, not a limit, a market order, a reoccurring daily buy order in Strike, because then I get 0% fees. And then after a week of doing that, and that's something that I can have done sustainably every single day, $40. And then basically at the end of the year, I would just either cash out that Bitcoin for savings for 6 months of bills is my goal, or just do that with Ethereum if Ethereum is up a lot more. And then I cash out on my Ethereum and then I just hodl my Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin, I should also note that before I get over to Ethereum, I do have this level here, 72,000. That's another $10 limit by order. And so that has not been hit because the low so far was 74,453.54. Give or take, depends on the exchange that you're looking at, depends on the kinds of spreads that are going on. But yeah, I mean, we're getting back to this shaded region, which was the prior all-time highs. And now I'm really wondering, are we going to be getting to the notorious number of 69,420? Yeah, I mean, I am just so excited about this. I think this is a great opportunity. And if Bitcoin doesn't get to 100,000 by the end of the year, that's not a big deal. I will survive, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is, potentially an opportunity of a lifetime. Bitcoin back into the 70s, maybe getting back into the 60s. So I'm really excited about that. And with Ethereum, talking about being excited, I had talked about this yellow trend line for some time. And this goes back to, I think, I'm just going to do it on the weekly, switch over to that. So we can see this goes back to basically all of these lows, going back to the lows from March of 2020, and then the pivot low from like June of 2022. And we could see we were trading around there, but then I drew this, green line based on the pivot high from June of 2019, and then that pivot low of June of 2022. And that was, in all honesty, based on switching this over to the log scale and thinking that, hey, that corresponds with where we were trading at over here. Maybe that support on the log scale that corresponds with yellow support on a linear scale. But I also was thinking about this as maybe we break down the the yellow uptrend and revisit or test the green uptrend. And I have this alert here at 1,500. Where are we trading at? 1,500. This came to a low of 1416.35. It looks like right around 1,400. And let's switch over to the daily. And so, yeah, maybe that's a bottom. Maybe we're going to be testing that green uptrend. And I talked about price potentially coming down to 14 or 1,500. And that's where we're at. So, yeah, I mean, this could keep breaking lower. This could go into the triple digits. I have no idea. But considering the 4-year cycle, this would correspond with basically between May and December of this year correspond with potentially new all-time highs, topping out before we get into a bear market. And so, yeah, I'm just excited about this opportunity. And so with Ethereum, I was doing $10 DCAs through Robinhood. And if you guys are curious to trade Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the stuff, I do have links in the descriptions of all of the videos. I think referral codes, so I think you get a little bit of money, I get a little bit of money, or some Bitcoin or something. But I do have links to Strike and Robinhood down there. If you're curious, no pressure. But with Ethereum, my daily DCA was $10 with Robinhood, which gets filled on the 6 o'clock Eastern hour, 6 o'clock Eastern. In that time between 6 and 7 Eastern usually. I wish I could set the time to be around when market opens, but I was a $10 DCA. I upped that to $45 because then that averages out about $250 a week plus $10 a day for the daily DCA. And so this Ethereum, this Bitcoin that I'm more aggressively buying, I'm just viewing it as like a savings account to be paying for bills next year. Maybe it's a really bad decision, but I think it's better than just sitting in like 4%, less than 4% APY savings account. So yeah, really excited about this. And with that being said, I guess, I had talked about Biddy in the past. This is the ProShare Short Bitcoin ETF. It's down 7.85%. I'm not trading this. I'm not looking to buy this. Because the CME gap that we saw, is of course to the upside. So I'm going long Bitcoin down here. But I just wanted to point out that yesterday during Ticker Request Live, someone mentioned the SBIT, which is the ProShares Ultra Short Bitcoin ETF, which is 2x short Bitcoin, and this is down up about 16% in pre-market. So, this is perhaps a better one to trade than Biddy because this one's not leveraged. This is 1x, negative 1x. ProShares Ultra Short, if we look at the profile, it's probably going to be 2x. Yep, you can see it there, 2x short Bitcoin. And so maybe that's a nice one to be trading. But yeah, I did want to go over, let's see, ticker symbol URA, which is the Global X Uranium ETF, which is down in the pre-market about a little over 3%, closed on Friday at $20.82, being down over 7% on the day. And yeah, we are in the pre-market at 2012. It looks like the low from Friday, though, was $20. If I do switch over to the 10-minute time frame, we can see that the low during pre-market, we gapped down to 1946 and we've gone higher. So this is actually, and also looking at the SPY with this gap down and then float up, this is actually making me think that maybe we're going to be seeing a bottom with this stuff. And so the low pre-market was 1946 for URA. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more confident that the bottom could be in and that we'll be seeing a bounce. So I'm pretty excited about that. But anyways, the poll has expired. So let's flip over to X to see, okay, it was SoFi. So I'm going to have to go over that. I will do another poll that I will open up tonight, and that will expire during tomorrow's pre-market prep. So if you did like this, make sure you follow me on X to participate in the poll for tomorrow. And I will just add SoFi over here to go over that. And we will look at this very cluttered chart, but then I will open up the chat. So, Nameless, what's up? Sorry, I had to kind of mute you earlier. Hopefully you didn't mind or understand. And so are you doing anything? Are you holding anything at the moment? Yeah, I'm holding all the stuff that I usually mention that I'm holding. I'm not buying too aggressively. I do have some limit buys placed. One of them was BBAI. I had a limit buy at 269, which I meant to adjust to 238. 269 was filled, $2.69. And I now have a limit buy for one share. These just one share buys, nothing crazy. And nothing crazy as far as price too. I have another limit buy for one share at $2.38. Nothing too crazy. SoFi is one that I am excited to go over, so I will be looking at that in just a second. But then after I do that, I will go over some requests if there's time before the hour. Got about 25 minutes. So FVVR is what? Let's see if did I add that up there? Nope. Let's see, FVVR. I'm not seeing that. Is that FVRR? Is that what you're requesting? I'm imagining that's it. And let's see. Jose is saying, don't sell SVIX. Market will go up soon. Yeah, I'm not worried about SVIX, which I can pull up in a second to kind of go over my breakdown. Hey, Sandy, how's it going? Good morning to you. And thanks for the comment on the Tesla video. I will respond to it. I like to respond to all comments. But yeah, I think that what we're seeing is kind of like March 2020 chaos in the markets, which ended up being, longer term, most definitely. But even in just like within a 6-month time frame, if you're slowly buying the dip, averaging down, I think that it's going to be, an opportunity of potentially a lifetime. And I think Tesla is one to really believe in. I did mention that I sold my TSLL, which was really just based on sentiment that Colin Gladman had in one of his videos. And it's like, well, I'm long Tesla with the shares. I should just do that. And I exited my TSLL effectively at break even. I think I made 13 cents or something. And yeah, I've been happy about that. But yeah, I think that both will be up later this year. So I just don't know when the re-entry point is. And hey, Benjamin, how's it going? And Benjamin's asking, do you think that this decline is creating an opportunity for short covering such that the coming bounce will mean that many levels of resistance will now be overcome? I have no idea because to be honest, I was not trading during March of 2020. I don't think I had any investments then. No Bitcoin or anything. I had previously traded crypto in the past, but not at that time. I've not seen anything like this. I will, let's see. I have no idea. I feel like this could be setting up for big moves with AMC and GameStop. So, I'll just pull up AMC so we can see it on the side there. Pre-market, it looks like AMC's flat, so that's kind of remarkable. And GameStop is down 3.79%, whereas the SPY is down like 2%. So yeah, actually, I think that we're getting a bounce pre-market. I think that we could be seeing a bottom, and I think that this could be triggering potentially some squeezes because, it's like if we have retail who's just saying, I'm going to buy every single dip. It doesn't matter what the price is. I'm just going to keep buying. I'm just going to keep buying. It's very predictable and there's no chaos. And what we need to see is some chaos, money to have to be moved around, and then that to trigger things. And so we're seeing that now. So do I think that this could trigger an opportunity for short covering, maybe some squeezes, breaking above resistance? I think that chaos is what is needed for that stuff to happen. And I think that is what we are seeing. So I think that there's definitely some potential for that. AMC is green in the pre-market, so 0.38%. GameStop down 4.21%. I was going to say 4.20, but yeah, I think that we could be seeing a lot of massive moves to the upside. But yeah, I'm going to go over SoFi since I said I would, and then I will release a clip of this later on. And so, yeah, I just got to figure out how I'm going to start this. And so what I will probably do is maybe I could just do this so it's a streamlined clip. And so I'm just going to start like I would start a video, and then I will get into the analysis, the chaos here. And so I might actually just remove that. Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts, like the chart behind me, which is of SoFi Technologies, ticker symbol SOFI, which closed on Friday at a price of $9.57, being down just over 10% on the day and continuing down in the overnight trading over the weekend and into the pre-market today on what could be Black Monday, April 7th, trading below $9 a share, down more than 7.5% in the pre-market, trading around $8.84. And so the reason why I'm going to be going over SoFi is because I did put out a poll for tickers to be requested during pre-market prep, and SoFi won. So thank you for participating in that. And I will be doing another poll for tomorrow, Tuesday's pre-market prep. So let me know which ticker you'd like me to go over. I'll post that poll later this evening. But anyways, let's dive into the SoFi chart, which is one, to be honest, I've been ignoring for quite some time. Maybe some of you will remember I had drawn a number of levels to the downside, and I personally was waiting for this gap to be filled to the downside, which is at $5.41. I unfortunately got left behind. Although I must say, I was talking about a gap around $6. I think it was at 603 over here. We can actually look back in the chart, where was that gap? It's going to be going back over here. Yeah, so there was a gap here. The close on this day, May 30th of 2023, closing price 603. Memory serves me well. And yeah, so I mean, I was waiting for that gap, both of those gaps, to be filled, and they unfortunately did not, or at least only that one got filled. And following that big move to the upside, or following that gap fill, we got this big move to the upside going up 188%. I missed out on all of that. It's kind of unfortunate, but as we might see, there were some levels here that kind of predicted where that top would be, kind of miraculously. So let's see, from over here, got this light blue Fibonacci. I'm just going to make that thicker so we can see it better. Fibonacci extension there. I'm just going to make sure those levels are right. So that should be 4.24. Yep, going up to the high here, 1170, and then pulling back to a low of 601. So yep, that Fibonacci extension is drawn correctly. So I had the 100% move here at 1347. We blew past that. And then I do have the 1618 extension. That would have been an excellent level to exit at. The high that we hit was 1842. Pierced this level a couple days, it looks like, at 1808 before massively retracing. And so we can see that from that level, it's come down about 50%, so pretty massive there. But now let's think about some levels where we might be able to find some support, just as I kind of chaotically clean up the chart here a little bit to remove some of that clutter. And one thing you might notice is we have broken below this uptrend. And so I think that this uptrend, if we do start to get a bounce, I think it's probably going to be acting as resistance. Maybe we could break above it. So I guess I'll color it orange. It's not, a red line in the sand. It's an orange, pretty cautionary, probably going to be some pretty notable resistance, but maybe we could break above it. And so that is just based on, so you're aware, based on the pivot low from August 5th, which was 601, and that was a historic day in the market. We're also seeing another historic day in the market, so pretty interesting there. And then also it looks like the pivot low from September 10th. Those are the two pivot points. That is how I get that uptrend. And it looks like we got a near test of it over here and a test of it effectively over here before a bounce and breakdown. You also might be able to tell that there was a gap over here that was based on the closing price from October 11th, and that was at a price of $9.01. And on Friday, we did pierce it. We went through that level at hitting a low on Friday of $8.88. And so because we pierced that, we filled that gap. I'm going to make that a solid line. We do have some more gaps to the downside, though. We actually have a number of them. So I might try to draw those in here and then see if there's some confluence with maybe Fibonacci retracement that would suggest, hey, maybe that makes sense as a bottom. And so this gap, I'm going to make that line thicker as well. That is based on the closing price from September 12th, which was at $7.46. We also can see there's another gap here. This was from October 3rd, closing price $7.83. And so I am just, that's correct. I'm just going to make that a dashed line, thick and blue. So we know those are some gaps to the downside that we might be coming back to. I suspect we will be testing at least one of those. And then of course, we got this historic one from the past at 541 that, may never get tested, or maybe the level that I was being patient for might get, tested again. But yeah, so let's look at this, do a Fibonacci retracement, and see if there's some confluence with some of these levels. And I do have these trend lines from the past. And, I feel like I'm just going to put it out there. This one, what are the pivot points from this? This looks like it was the pivot point from December 6th of 2022 and the pivot low, both of them pivot lows from May 2nd of 2023. And so we've got that line there. I'm just going to make it thicker. And I'm going to say that I think that would be a dip buying level if we retrace to it. And so that's why it's going to be green. And so now let's do a Fibonacci retracement from the low here at 601 to the high here at 1842. Fibonacci retracement there, 601 to 1842. Let's just make sure those levels are right. 601, nope, it needs to be 603, 601, it was 603, and then 1842. And yep, so that is based on that low. So I'm just going to lock that into place. And, so what are some levels? All right, it looks like we are below the 50% and the 618, so I'm going to remove those. And the 786 is at $8.67. We're effectively trading at that in the pre-market. So we got that white 786 there. If I switch over the 10-minute time frame, hey, look, that's potentially holding as support. We were trading below it in the pre-market. We gapped below it, hitting a low during the pre-market of $8.39. We are now trading above it. I suspect we'll probably go lower than it once the market opens. But if we can bounce, get a close above it, that could be, suggesting some very nice support. So I might actually make that be yellow because maybe it's kind of cautionary. But what I think will probably be happening is, just like over here, I had a gap fill that I wanted to see at 603, and we got that. And then I had this other gap fill at 541. We didn't get that. Let's say history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be going down to 541, but if history rhymes, we've got these two gaps here. I think that this top one might get filled, and that's at 783. And then we've got this lower gap at 746. I don't think that one's going to get filled. So how am I going to denote this? I'll make this just thinner, and I'll make this one down here thinner because we haven't gotten to them on the daily, and I don't think that we will. And so I think that this is probably going to come down to 783. And so let's just say I do not plan on buying, at least not at this point. I'm not trying to add any new positions, but I am going to add an alert for below $8. I don't think these alerts, those legacy alerts, are going to be hit. But I'm just going to leave them there to remind myself to not be stubborn. When you see two gaps, if one of them gets filled, be happy about that. And don't be greedy waiting for that second one. So yeah, I think that this could very well be finding some support around $8 a share. So that's where I've got my alert. That's what I'm looking for. And, we will just have to see, especially it looks like with earnings coming up at the end of the month, April 29th, there could be some really nice dip buying opportunities. And, maybe it doesn't go straight down to fill this gap. And maybe it does fill this lower gap. Maybe it does take its time. And maybe it finds support at this green uptrend that I was talking about earlier. And maybe that could be coming down to like 750. So maybe actually, what I want to do is add an alert at 750. So I'll put an alert there for below 750. And so I think that is like the extremely deep value level, 750. But I think $8 will likely be hit. So, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and fun pre-market preps. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, you guys. And so I will release that as a clip shortly. Then I am just going to look over at FVRR here real quick. This is at 21 in the pre-market and down 5.4%. And let's see. I don't know. All these levels that I have are drawn are kind of wonky, but I think that like $20, maybe that could be acting as support. So I would say I'd look for 20 with this one. And let's say Benjamin saying, do you think that FLNC will get back to at least 530 within this month? Let's look at FLNC. 530 by this month. I think it could. That would be like getting up to here. I have this trend line here. So maybe like I had talked about it bouncing here and getting rejected around 5. It could get rejected from like this uptrend if I were to, just kind of extend this like that. It could most definitely come up to around, let's see, 550 and then maybe get rejected from there. So I do think it's possible that 530 is possible. But I would just look for, if it does bounce, does it start to look like it's like putting big wicks to the upside and volumes diminishing, that there aren't buyers up here, people are selling. That's what the wicks to the upside would be suggesting, and that it's starting to roll over. So so I guess if it starts to go up and volumes picking up, that's good. But then if it's starting to like taper off, then like whether that's in volume or price action, then I think it could be rolling over. Excuse me. So I just look for signs of weakness if it does start to bounce, and then to see where that could be. And it's down 6% in the pre-market, but it is around, above $4 a share, but it is above the low here of 636. I imagine pre-market it hit lower. I'm dyslexic. 365, 636 is what I was saying. 363. So it basically hit that level in the pre-market, but I really don't know. So, but I think it's possible, but I'd have a plan for keeping an eye on it, because maybe it's going to get rejected around 5. Papa Powell, what's up? I had a vision the entire stock market collapsed before Easter. It seems like your vision's coming true. But I don't think that it's like, the world's going to end. I think that it's just, to be chill, have a plan. Bitcoin looks like it's potentially bouncing there from like 74, got a fill there. So feeling good about that. And Ethereum, maybe there's some bottoming signals there. And SVIX, let's look at this. Now it's above 12. So 12 might have been, good dip buying level. Maybe I should have been more aggressive with that, but it is what it is. And we will see what's going on in the markets. AMC pre-market is flat, so kind of crazy there. And Anfadrew is saying, I have a vision charge point will hit $5 again with a little happy face emoji. And so I will add charge point onto here, and then I'm going to close down the stream so I can get ready for the day. And let's see, add a symbol, so charge point. I will look at this. This is 54 cents in the pre-market. And I have no idea where this could be going. $5 be getting back up to around here. And that would be pretty nice. That would be like almost a 10x from where it's currently at. I personally am effectively trimming out of my position, or I have been trimming out of my position. I still have a pretty big position though. But I kind of just want to be rolling it into Tesla. Just kind of consolidate my EV love in one place, But with all that being said, about 5 minutes before the hour, and I am going to be, I guess I can show you what I'll be tuning into after this. So if I go over to DGen Ed here, we can see subscriptions that I'll be tuning into. Gareth Soloway's Market Crash Continues. Traders trade this. This starts at 8 a.m. Central. So that's in 5 minutes for me, 9 a.m. Eastern. And then I really want to be tuning into this one because I think there's going to be a lot of great discussion. Scott Milker, And the other guys, I forget all of their names right now, but I think there's going to be a lot of a good discussion. Mike McGlone here, I think that he is, going to have some very, very hot takes, and there's going to be a lot of discussion there. So I'm looking forward to tuning into both of these. I'll be watching this one live, and then I'll be tuning into this one a little bit late, but watching it live as they are discussing stuff. But yeah, I'm going to wind down this stream. And so if you haven't already, please make sure you like it. Make sure you like the videos you do enjoy. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this coverage, pre-market prep coverage like this on the daily during the week. And, daily videos. So I will be releasing that SoFi clip in the next hour or so. So do look forward to that. And I will see you guys later. Trade safe, be careful, have a plan, and execute it. But also, planning could be just chilling, waiting to see what happens. So yeah, I'll see you guys.